regardless of the quality of them, of the last couple, the Fast and the Furious franchise has been one of the most successful, prolific box office hits of the last number of years. It's just one of the biggest franchises ever. And okay, let me try that again. I did not love them at first. I fell in love with them during like 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And have started to really much fall out of love with them with number 9 and 10, which were just awful. Although granted, 10 was a little bit better than 9. Now, of course, they talked about there going to be one more big one. Then Vin Diesel kind of teased there might be 2 more. And then, of course, the last couple of weeks, we heard the controversy coming out where a former assistant of him has accused him of sexual assault. And he's laid very quiet ever since, raising some questions amongst some people that will Vin Diesel even do another Fast and the Furious movie? I mean, we assume there probably would be another movie, but will Vin Diesel even be a part of it? Or might they scrap the whole thing because of declining box office, stuff like that? But hey, even though the movie stunk, and even though the movie had declining box office, Rob, Fast 10 still made over $700 million worldwide. That's nothing to sneeze at. That's great by a lot of standards, right? Well, according to Deadline, Vin Diesel is putting all the questions to rest. He is going to be doing an 11, and he is going to star in it. This comes to us from Deadline, who writes the following. The end is near, says Vin Diesel, but he promises it will indeed be a grand finale. The Fast and Furious star and producer posted on Instagram today and updated fans on the next franchise installment known as Fast Z or XI. The film likely marks the end of the long-running series, at least for Diesel. The actor is starting to inch out into the public again after a December lawsuit was filed against him by a former assistant accusing him of sexual battery. He has denied the allegations. So he went on in a social media post to say he just did his weekly meeting with the writers and he promises a great ending. So basically confirming that this is going to be the last one. Again, I was starting to wonder, look, I am a big Vin Diesel fan. I've said that for years. I still am. I don't know the validity or lack of validity of the accusations against him, so I'm not going to comment on that since that's outside of my knowledge. I don't know what's going on. We can comment on that if it ever gets to a trial or things like that happen. But for now. Hey guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, The Perfect Jean. Guys, are you tired of the rough and rigid jeans crushing your boys? Well, today's sponsor, The Perfect Jean, finally solved all of your denim difficulties. They make great looking, perfect fitting jeans that are as comfortable as sweatpants. The secret? A special denim fabric that is super soft and has the perfect amount of stretch so you can squat, do yoga, or just sit around all day without ever having to take them off. I'm going to admit I was a little bit skeptical because to me, jeans have always been jeans. They're practical, but not always the most comfortable. But I'm telling you guys, it's not an exaggeration. Once I put on these jeans, the Perfect Jean redefined what jeans can be to me. They're the perfect fit, they stretch, they breathe, and again, they're just insanely comfortable. So guys, it's finally time to stop crushing your balls in uncomfortable jeans by going to theperfectjean.nyc/Campea15. Our listeners get 15% off your first order plus free shipping, free returns and free exchanges when you use code Campea15 at checkout. Again, that's 15% off for new customers at theperfectjean.nyc/Campea15 and use the code Campea15. After you purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them. Please support the John Campea Show and tell them we sent you. Rob, I got to admit, there was a part of me as well that was starting to wonder if, Vin Diesel might just understandably go, you know what? I have made millions upon millions upon millions of dollars doing this franchise. Other people can do them. I mean, we saw Dwayne Johnson and Jason Statham do that, and that made a butt ton of money. Maybe I will just quietly just go away with my bajillion dollars and move it forward. But apparently he's coming back. Right move, wrong move. And after 9 and 10, where is your anticipation level for number 11, if at all? What do you think?
John, I feel like the Fast and Furious franchise is a franchise where I had a wonderful lover and I found out that she was cheating on me the whole time. And my love for her was misplaced because I hated 9 and 10. I've left the franchise. That said, I'm interested to see how they will end this franchise. I want this to be good. What they need to do is, to me, the pinnacle of this franchise remains Fast 5. And I understand that there's CG used in the movie, but when those guys flew off a cliff and jumped out of a car as the car plummeted into the water off a bridge, I'm like, that was a real car. Hey, they did that stunt. And one of the things about the Fast and Furious franchise that I liked when it began was the real stunt work. And then before it became a CG-assisted mess of epic proportions. And I just, no verisimilitude, nothing. It went into Fantasyland, a Fiero in space. I'm like, I'm out. I want this to be good. I want Vin Diesel to wrap this up in fine form. I just don't think there'll be 12 Fast and Furious movies if you include Hobbs and Shaw.
But that's kind
Let's
of the thing,
spend
right?
money on something else.
There is a line, and I don't think a thin line. There is a distinct line between asking the audience to embrace the stretching of believability
Yes.
to pure fantasy. For example, in the one, I think it was Fast 6 or Fast 7, where they're in the one building with the car.
That's Fast 7.
That's Fast 7. And they do the jump to the other building. Could that have, they actually did science YouTube videos breaking that. Could that have actually happened? No. But that would fall under the category for me of asking the audience to embrace a stretched believability.
Yeah, that was the end for me.
Right.
That because when you are dealing with cars, the whole point of doing car chase movies is we've all ridden in cars and we know what it's like to drive fast in cars, and it's to give us that visceral thrill of doing something that's forbidden that we could potentially do ourselves that we don't do. And when you make it unrealistic, the whole point of doing car chases is rendered moot, because once you're into fantasy world, then and you're trying to make a movie set in the real world, it doesn't work anymore. And I felt that way with the whole opening sequence of Fast 9 when they're driving through the jungle and the bombs are going off. I'm like, I don't believe, I can't, it just doesn't work. And I think that they've undermined their whole franchise by doing so.
Now, we have heard prior to the allegations against Vin Diesel that Universal was still going to move ahead, but they were going to like cut the budget in half. Because wasn't the budget for Fast
$340 million?
Like that is one of the most expensive films in the history of cinema. I mean, that is ridiculous. So we already heard they were going to cut back on the budget, which might actually be a good thing.
I think so too.
Right? It might force them to get back a little bit to the grittiness, you know, the racing, the whatever.
Yeah. They stated that they would go back to their roots.
Right.
Like, that's what they said. So we'll see what that means. Who knows?
Yeah, like I don't know how you go back to your roots after swan bowling, an exploding dam with like every single frame having
It was
something.
all just a fever dream.
Yeah, maybe Vin Diesel wakes up and he's still in the garage.
Just-
It's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh, it's all
Yeah,
just a
right.
I mean,
dream.
internationally, Fast X made a bulk of its money, 79.3% of it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
of
like the
this.
American audience has given up on the Fast and Furious. They just, because how much money did it make in the domestic box
At domestic, it's 146 million. Internationally, it made 550.
Okay, so how much domestically?
146 million.
Do me a favor, go to Fast 7 and tell me how much money it made domestically, how much Fast 7 made in the North American audience, because that's really kind of the telling thing, right? That the North American audience gave up on. What did it make?
Okay, well, domestically, it made 353 million.
So it's dropped in half,
Yeah.
right?
Now, here's the question. It's still making money internationally.
It is. Worldwide, it still made over 700 million.
Would going back to their roots actually hurt them?
No, because right now, like their overall box office is on decline, and even though the vast majority of their money comes from the international, has been coming from the international box office, their international box office has been dropping too.
You're right.
So they've got to course correct here you know, maybe this is a good way that Vin Diesel can close out his chapter, his series of chapters of Fast and Furious before maybe they move on in a different direction. We will have to wait and find out. Question is for you guys. What do you think about this? Are you surprised to hear that Vin Diesel is going to do another one? Would you have been actually more shocked if he didn't? Do you think this next one can recapture the imaginations of people? I hope they go out strong. I want to get back to that feeling of Fast 5, 6, 7. And I know not everybody loved 8, but I liked 8. Whatever. I hope they can get back to that. Whatever you guys think, jump into the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Make sure you like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget, we have a daily podcast called the John Campea Show podcast, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcasting app of choice. Go and subscribe to it today so it'll be there when you need it.